Hello and welcome to day number 5 of the 5-day bar chord challenge. I've got so much cool stuff to show you today. Today we're going to start by talking about different characteristics of chords, the difference in the sound to the ear of a major chord, a minor chord, 7th chord, and an add 9 chord. These are some of my favorite chords. And we're also going to learn about how to modify the E shape and the A shape bar chords that we've learnt to adapt those minor, 7th, and add 9 chords to all of these different positions we've learned. It's actually really easy. Can't wait to show you. Of course, if you like what I do, please like my video and subscribe to my channel. Let's get straight into it. So that chord there, of course, is E or E major. And that was the first bar chord shape we learned. We started with E and then we learned we could swap our fingers around, which allowed us to move our first finger up to that first fret there. Bar that, which gave us still that E shaped bar chord, but now we've got the F in the bass there. And of course, that's an F bar chord. Then we're going to go up one more, F sharp, G, G sharp, A, and so forth. And of course, they're all from that E shape or E major shape. Now you may know that by taking your first finger off of an E chord, that makes an E minor. Do you know the sound characteristic difference between an E major chord and an E minor chord? Or even simplifying that to the difference in sound between a major chord and a minor chord? Well, a major chord has kind of a happy sound about it, and a minor chord has kind of a sad sound about it. Now that's really important because if you hear a happy song on the radio, you can pretty much be sure that they're using major chords. Just like if you hear a sad song on the radio, you can pretty much be 100% sure that they're using minor chords. Okay, they might not all be major and minor, but those chords give those characteristics. So again, we've got E major and E minor. Very cool. The other chord we're going to talk about today is an E7. Now, the 7th chord has more of a bluesy characteristic about it. So the 7th chord, E7, it's got more of a bluesy sound. So we've got E major, happy sounding, E minor, sad sounding, and E7, it's got that bluesy sound about it. So cool. For those of you that are a bit more into music, I'd say as well, you could have E minor 7, which sounds kind of sad and bluesy at the same time. Very cool. But I just want to keep it simple for today. So let's talk about E, E minor, and E7 to start with. So now let's apply those to the bar chord. So let's say I take that E-shaped bar chord. I'm going to move it up to the 3rd fret here. That of course would be a G bar chord because now my first finger is on that 3rd fret of the low E string. The bass note there is a G, so that's a G bar chord with that E shape there. Now the same principle applies. If I take an E chord here and turn it into an E minor, well, if I've now got that bar chord, there's a G or G major. I can take that second finger off now, and you can hear that straight away, that sad quality. That's now made that chord a G minor chord. Okay, so I've got G major or G. Taking that finger off will give us a G minor. Sounds very cool. So that shape again is fully movable, just like the E-shaped bar chord. Let's say if I go to the 5th fret, that would be an A bar chord again, okay? If you're not sure of the notes of the fretboard, please do my 7-day beginner's guitar challenge. It's absolutely free and it teaches you all that stuff and heaps more. It's kind of really important to know the names of the fretboards, and it's really easy to learn once it's taught correctly and easily. So anyway, 5th fret there, that's an A. Of course, if I take that second finger off now, that's going to now give me an A minor, which sounds really sad, okay? It's got that quality. Now, you've got to watch when you're doing those chords. They can be really hard at first to play the minor chord shape. One of the things is the note that falls on now, once you take that finger off, it actually kind of falls right in the crack of the finger there. So it's often tricky at first for people to get that 4th string across, that G string, to ring out there, okay, because it falls on the crack, so it might be a dead note. Now there's a few tricks around that. You can put your second finger on top of that first finger. A lot of people do that just to clamp down that extra pressure, and just practice. Also make sure you've got that clearance at the bottom of that pinky there so that G string can ring out there and get that nice clean sound on that chord. So now through that system you can play a major chord and a minor chord in any of these positions. Here's a B on the 7th fret here, B, B minor, C, C minor, C sharp up there, and C sharp minor. How cool is that? So from that one shape you can create all those chords. Now the other one we talked about before was the 7th chord, which sounds What's the sound? Can you remember? It's bluesy, okay? So taking that third finger off, we got the E7, which sounds bluesy as opposed to E major, happy, E minor, sad, E7, bluesy. So if I take that up to the 3rd fret now, here's my E-shaped bar chord on the 3rd fret. If I take the pinky off here, that's going to now give me a G7. It's going to sound that kind of bluesy sound, right? If I go up to the 5th fret here, now got an A7, got that bluesy sound. So we had A, A7. Before we also learned about A minor. All those variations just right there. So that's the 7th chord. Again up to B here, 7th fret, B7. What about if I went 1 down from a B chord? That would be now a B flat. So there's B flat 7. Very cool. So just from those basic versions, E, E minor, and E7, you can now apply those sounds to those bar chords and create all those different sounds, which is so cool. Now, before I get too lost down the rabbit hole of all these shapes, the next shape I want to talk about is the A-shaped bar chord. So we've obviously spent a lot of time practicing this in all the different positions. So, do you know an A minor chord looks like this? So all I've done with that A minor is I've taken that 3rd finger there, the highest fingered notes on the A chord, down 1 fret to here and move these over. It can be confusing at first because it looks a bit like the E-shaped bar chord, okay? But it's not. So I really want to make sure that you can see that with that A minor, it's only 5 strings. So the A there, A minor, 5 strings. So the same principle applies, just like we learned how to move that A-shaped bar chord up in different positions, the same thing applies. So let's say if I'm up here on that 3rd fret position, to change that now from a C major, which of course sounds happy, to go to the C minor, I just need to change that shape around, just like we did from the A to the A minor, except now I'm up here on that 3rd fret. There's my C to a C minor. And that gives me a C minor. Okay, if I go up again, here's a C sharp chord. The bass note's now changed to a C sharp. Now I've got a C sharp minor. Okay, up here I've got a D. Now changing that around, I've now got a D minor. How cool's that? Same thing goes here with a normal A chord. You can also take that middle finger off. That gives us A7. Again, it's got that bluesy quality there. Again, I can move that same principle up. Here's a C chord on the 3rd fret there. My bass there is a C note. Okay, so that's a C chord. Only playing 5 strings with my pick, of course. Now, I can take that finger off there and play now a C7 chord. Like that. Okay, that 3rd finger is off there. And that's got that note ringing out now my 1st finger just under there. With that shape there, I'll often play it with my 3rd and 4th finger just because it feels a lot easier to me. Some people do it with their 2nd and 3rd too. It just depends on where you're coming and where you're going to. Honestly, you always want to be able to do them all different ways. So, you know, that way, or that way, or that way, for that same 7th chord shape. So if I move it up one more, that would now be a C sharp in the bass, and that would be a C sharp 7. Okay, D7, D sharp 7, E7, and so forth. Very cool. So again, from changing those initial shapes around, we had A, we had A minor, sad characteristic, A7, that bluesy sound, and then applying them to the bar chords. C, C minor, C7. So cool, all those different sounds. The last bar chord shape I want to leave you with for this bar chord challenge is a sus2 chord, and this is one of my most favorite chords. The reason is it sounds so beautiful and so pretty. So if you want to write a beautiful love song or something like that, or a song that's going to really touch someone's heart, this chord is perfect for you. It looks like this. So if I take the basic A chord, all you need to do is take your 3rd finger off, which sounds and looks like this. Straight away when I hear that chord, just that beauty that it has is phenomenal. Now, if I apply that again to a bar chord, let's say if I go to the 3rd fret position here, that would mean taking my pinky off there, okay, taking the pinky off, and there's my shape. Now, you might be able to hear quite a few songs that have that sound. If I take that up to the 5th fret, there it would be there as D sus2. Such a beautiful sounding chord. Again, that's just come from the A sus sound. I just want to say thank you so much for doing this 5-day bar chord challenge with me. We have covered just an incredible amount of content. If you like the way I teach, again, please check out my 7-day challenge. Thanks so much and see you soon.